I just want to call attention to the fact that I am 27 and I have to pull down a mic from a 16-year-old, so I'm already starting like down here, literally down here. All right, so I'm 6 years old and I'm under a table, which is where any 6-year-old would want to be when there's a lot of people around and there's a party and there's a lot of excitement because you get to be all alone. But the problem is I'm bawling my eyes out. And the bigger problem is I'm at what's known, at least where I'm from, as the Pinewood Derby. Does anyone know the Pinewood Derby? For those of you who don't know, this is the most ridiculous pseudo-masculine competition of wit and skill and carpentry for Cub Scouts. And it's not for the kids, it's the kids' dads. The kids' dads are bucking heads left and right. Who's the better carpenter? And I'm kind of caught in the middle of it because I just got my ass handed to me 4 times by my little car that, was like a little wedge shape like that. It was really simple. It wasn't no frills. It was painted like a tiger, which I thought was pretty cool at the time because I was a tiger, I was a Cub Scout. But I got my ass handed to me. I got every race. They even have a loser's bracket for you in case, it's okay, kid. No, I got straight out of that one too. And I realized I would like to say I wasn't crying because of that. I was absolutely crying because of that. But the other reason I was crying was because my dad wasn't there. And he said he was going to be there. And I'm sitting there alone. And I'm thinking back on us building this car together. And if I had noticed the look of concern on his face, if I had noticed the anxiety, the way that he wrung his hands when he was teaching me how to use a sander and how to use the saw that I can't name anymore because I don't have the badge for that, I might have noticed how concerned he was and how scared he was. And so, me being 6, cried my balls out, or cried my balls off, I guess, and totally embarrassed myself in front of everybody. But in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why wasn't my dad there? And it wasn't until years and years and years later, 3 years ago actually, to be exact, we're reflecting on this time, and I bring up the Pinewood Derby, which is like a curse word in my house. I'd imagine it's a curse word for a lot of houses. It scars people. Seriously, I would imagine that there are people who have built like replica tracks in their backyard, just like ready to get the exact aerodynamics of it. But that wasn't us. And I bring up the Pinewood Derby, and my dad takes a drink from his vodka. And he says, I ran away to Philly that night. He works in Philly. He works with the School District of Philadelphia as a consultant. He ran away to Philly that night because he was too afraid to see me compete because his dad didn't teach him about tools. He didn't have any of those skills. And so he runs to Philly. He runs away because he can't handle his own failures. And he's talking to his coworker, his young coworker, and they're out getting a drink later, and he says, he fesses up, I imagine he had 1 or 2, and he fesses up and he says why that he's there that night instead of with me. And the second that he says Pinewood Derby to his coworker, the color drains from his face. See, his coworker is from North Philly, and he had a kind of rough childhood, but he was a Cub Scout too, and when he was competing, he didn't have a dad who was around in the picture that much, not because he didn't love him, but because he wasn't able to. He was working 3 jobs at the time. And so he put literally the block of wood on the track and put it down. And he got creamed again and again and again until he just dropped out of Cub Scouts. And my dad said, I could tell he was dealing with the repercussions of this. He was saying in his head, I, in my upper middle class whiteness, ran away. I had the choice to run away, and I did. Whereas some people don't have that choice. And so he was apologizing to me in his own way. And the lesson that he gave me was that if you can show up in any way, in any possible way, you show up. But more importantly, what he told me was, fuck the pinewood dirt.